The 1991 relative question. Okay, a runner observes that when her velocity is ui, the wind appears to come from the direction 2 plus 3j. But when her velocity is uj, the wind appears to come from the direction minus 2i plus 3j. Prove that the true velocity of the wind is 5u over 6i minus u over 4j. Find the speed and direction of the motion of the runner when the wind appears to be a velocity of ui. Okay, so start off, okay, we're going to call phi r the velocity of the runner. We're going to call phi w the velocity of the wind. And we're going to call phi wr the velocity of the wind relative to the runner. Okay, so what we're going to get here is ui for the runner. We're going to call the velocity of the wind xi plus yj. And then we're going to call the velocity of the wind relative to the runner is minus 2i plus 3j. Oh! Appears to come from the direction. Okay, so I'm just going to pause it there for one. So guys, what happens is it comes from the direction. So when you draw your xy plane, what happens is it comes from the direction 2i plus 3j. So that's going to be 2 across, 3 up, like so. And what we're going to do then is we're going to have this velocity. If it's coming from there, it's going through it. So it's coming from a northeastern direction, okay? So that's going to be 2 across, 3 up. Which means on the other side it's going to be minus 2, minus 3. Okay? Minus 3j. So wind appears, so that's the direction it's going in, okay? Now, phi wr ends up to be phi w minus phi r. And phi w minus phi r, I'm just going to put it directly, I'm not going to waste too much time doing this here, so it's going to be phi w minus phi r. So it's going to be x minus ui, or sorry, x minus ui plus yj. Okay, so we have a simultaneous equation now. We have x minus u equals minus 2, and we have y equals minus 3. Okay, and what we're going to get here is, so what do we have? X minus u plus y minus 3, okay? Now, what happens is, it comes from the direction, okay? So technically speaking, see this phi wr, that's not its actual speed, is it? It's just the direction where it's coming from. So it doesn't actually give you anything about the magnitude. So we actually, when you realise this, this is actually causing a block here. If that were the case, you could get all the information from one set of values. So what's actually happening is, we got to examine the angle, which is here. Okay, angle x we'll call it. So what we're actually going to say instead is that tan x is basically minus 3 over minus 2, which is 3 over 2. And this tan x also equals x minus u all over y. Would you agree with that? Yeah. And because it's both negative, technically speaking, we'd actually have to multiply both of them by minus 1. Does everybody know why you have to multiply them both by minus 1? If you had an angle and it was minus 2 across, minus 3 down, you'd usually have to change them both into positive numbers to get the angle. But because they're both negative anyway, it doesn't affect the angle. So now we know that 2 over 3, 3 over 2 equals x minus u over y. So we're going to get 3y equals 2x minus 2u. And then what we're going to get here is, we're going to get, what is it, 3y. So 2 over 3 or 3 over 2? 3 over 2. Okay. Right guys, the I value was the x. So excuse me, what I got mixed up there was that this value here is the x this value here is x minus u, and the value going downwards was the y. Okay, so what I did there was I actually got my equation upside down. Okay, so what it actually is, it's actually the 3 is the y, and the 2 is the x minus u. And then you cross multiply, and you're going to get 3x minus 3u equals 2y. And then what we're going to get here is 3x minus 2y equals 3u. Is that right? Now, that's one equation. Scenario 2 is basically your velocity. So your man, the velocity of the runner, is going to be uj. Do you guys have the questions there? There in front of you. Okay, so velocity runner is uj. The velocity of the wind is xi plus yj, like last time. Okay, the velocity of the wind relative to the runner. We don't. What we know is the direction. It comes from the direction minus 2i plus 3j. So minus 2i plus 3j. So it comes from the direction minus 2i plus 3j. That's minus 2 across up here. This means that the direction is actually going this direction here. Now, this quadrant is an awkward quadrant, and I'll tell you why it's an awkward quadrant. See, if this is coming from minus 2 to 3, that's going to be plus 2 and minus 3. And if you're getting tan x, if you're finding tan x, you'd actually have to say it's 3 over 2. You can't use minus 3 over 2, because otherwise you'll get an obtuse angle, okay? So, what you guys are... So, VWR, you don't actually know VWR, but what you do know is its direction. So, VWR is VW minus VR, okay? And VW minus VR is going to be... VW minus VR is going to be xi, and then it's going to be plus y minus uj. Okay, so xi plus y minus uj. Now, what do we know about the y minus u? What do we know about the y minus u? The y minus u represents a negative number, and the x represents a positive number. This means that tan x has to be minus y minus u, because it's a negative number. You can't get the tan of a negative number. You can, but it's not an acute angle. And then over 2. So what that's going to get me is u minus y all over 2, and u minus y all over 2 is the same thing as 3 over 2. Okay, and then what we're going to get is simply, where's my x gone? Oops, sorry. I technically shouldn't have used x twice. I used x twice, so that should be, call it a, tan a. So tan a equals y minus u, which is and then x on the bottom, and that equals 2. Now we're going to get 3x equals 2u minus 2y, and then we're going to get 3x plus 2y equals 2u. The other equation was 3x minus 2y equals 3u. And then when we solve this, we're going to get x equals 5 over 6u. And we're going to get y equals, minus u over 4. Yeah, y equals minus u over 4 when you solve that equation simultaneously, okay? Now, there's a second part to this question, okay? The second part of this question is, find the speed and direction of a motion. Find the speed and direction of the motion of the runner when the wind appears to be ui. Okay. So what we can do there is we can rub out all our current workings because it has nothing to do with this question. You can also answer these two questions separately, so that's another thing to notice. Okay, so we're going to start off again up here, and what we're going to say is that the speed and direction of the motion of the runner when the wind velocity appears. Key word being appears. Velocity of the wind relative to the runner is ui. Okay, technically plus 0j, there's no j value. What are we going to call the velocity of runner in this case? We can call it xi plus yj. We now know the velocity of the wind. The velocity of the wind is given to us in the first question, which is 5u over 6 minus u over 4j. Okay, and then once that's done, okay, what we're going to do is going to get the velocity of the wind relative to the runner, which is going to be Vw minus Vr. Now, what we could also do here, if you really wanted to, is you could move Vr over the other side, and you can say that Vw equals Vwr plus Vr. So we're just adding them together. So we're going to add Vwr to Vr, so we're going to get ui plus xi plus yj. Okay, and when we factorize that out, what we can get here is just it's going to be u plus x to the power of I, like so. Okay. And that in turn has to equal 5u over 6 minus u over 4j. What we can then find out is we can find out that I think the answer is going to be y equals minus u over 4, because yj is u over 4. The j components have to match up and the x components have to match up. And now we're going to get u plus x equals 5u over 6. X, therefore, when you bring over the u over the other side, is going to be minus u over 6. Okay? You now have to find the speed and the direction of the runner. Well, you know that the runner is going minus u over 4, which means he's going down. Minus u over 6 means to the left. So he's going down and to the left. So it's u over 6 to the left, minus u over 6 to the left, and u over 4 downwards. So the speed of the runner is minus u over 6i minus u over 4j. You'll do Pythagoras' theorem to find the speed. So it's going to be u over 4 and u over 6 squared. So can somebody tell me what that is? We'll call this m squared equals u over 6 squared plus u over 4 squared. Anybody know? What is a 36th plus a 16th? Anybody knows? 3.25. Sorry? 3.25 over 36. Sorry, so just okay, so this is 13 over 144. Oh, sorry, 13 over 144, square root it, and you should get root 13 over 12, is it? Yep. So this here is going to be root 13 over 12. Okay, so root 13 over 12. And equals root 13 all over 12. Now, what about its direction, lads? What about this angle here? Call it theta. What about the angle theta? Tan theta equals u over 6 divided by u over 4, which is technically a 6 divided by a quarter, which is technically 2/3 or 4 over 6. Tan inverse 2/3 for me? What do we get? What was it? 33.69. Okay, so that means it's going, this is west 36.69 degrees. Sorry, west 33.69 degrees, south. Okay, so that there